Hi everyone, I'm Max. This is Yang. I'm going to introduce us quickly. Today we're going to talk about the future of gaming, since especially the whole blockchain NFT market and whole scene has introduced a lot of new concepts and new opportunities, and this is what we would like to talk about today. Yang, why not go ahead and please quickly introduce yourself first?
No, I appreciate it, Max. And hopefully everyone is enjoying the Flow Fest and really having a great time with some of the new properties and games that are there. So my name is Yang Adija. I head up the digital business products for Turner Sports. And so that includes NBA digital as well as NCAA digital, but also growth and innovation for Turner Sports. And within growth and innovation, Turner Sports, what we've done is we've actually launched a few years ago, and we've been working with the Flow and Dapper team for some time now, a play to earn game under Blocklets Games. So if you guys haven't had a chance to go see our booth in the Flow Fest, please check that out. A lot of exciting things going on there. And I can kind of explain a little bit about our game as well in terms of what it is. It's a play to earn game. It's Blocklets Golf is the first game that we're coming out with. It's a golf-based video game with NFT components to it. Both the Blocklets, the athletes within the games, are NFTs, as well as the game components, golf clubs and golf balls will be NFTs, and you can compete for prizing and to level up your golfer. And it's a really dynamic ecosystem that we're looking to build within there, which I'm happy to talk more about.
That's pretty exciting. If I remember correctly, you're also one of the very first projects on Flow, which brings us two projects kind of together. I'm quickly going to introduce myself as well. I'm Max, CEO and co-founder of B-Side Games. We are working on Chainmonsters, a massive multiplayer online RPG, which is launching on Flow very soon. We've been closed alpha phase for the last 6 months, basically. We're now entering closed beta phase in November. If you want to get access, you should take a look at the mysterious packs that are given out during the Flow Fest. And we're also going to have like a quick drop of beta access in November as well. And open beta will take place in February, where we invite the whole world on Steam, iOS, and Android to pretty much participate in our like massive open world experience. So I guess, well, today it's all about NFTs and the future of gaming. But in order to ask, in order to ask what the future of gaming is looking like in the near future, why don't we take a step back and look at what the current state of NFT gaming is today? As a quick like introduction question for you, I wanted to know how long have you been in the in NFT space itself, and how long have Blocklets Games been looking into the space, and what is your opinion like in general about the current state of NFT gaming?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. What sort of triggered it for us was actually, CryptoKitties was the initial thing that gave the sense of, okay, well, there's some opportunities there. And being in the sports space, we thought that it was very much applicable to what we can do. And so we've been tinkering and testing and sort of playing around within the space ever since then. We did have a alpha launch, so there's a few of those who were part of our alpha launch last year and have been playing in our game. And we wanted to move over to the Flow blockchain, where we're going to be now, which we'll be announcing. And please check out our Discord and on FlowFest for the announcement of when we will be launching, so that the next season. But I think where we are in the space is that it's in its infancy. It's growing, and it's picking up a lot of steam. I know there are some games that are out there now that are really taking the space and sort of the play to earn, but I think that's going to be a much bigger part of where it's going to go. And I think right now you have a number of companies really trying to figure out, okay, well, what lane do we play in? What's the best space for us to be? And I think it's an extremely exciting time to really be on board in an early stage of where this is going to be developing.
This is just actually super interesting because, like, in our point of view, I mean, I've for myself been into the crypto space, I think, since 2016. My company and my team, we have been pretty much working on NFT and blockchain projects since CryptoKitties as well, like since the very first like huge like NFT project. And I think right now, and as you said, basically, there are many companies now entering the NFT space. Or the crypto space in general. There are also companies coming from the traditional gaming space, like I guess in our case, like our game studio, that are looking into NFTs and trying to incorporate the NFT mechanics into traditional games. And for us, it's like really exciting to see the growth, and I guess for you guys as well to see like many more people coming in, many more projects looking into the space, and new, I guess, models not only for like fundraising but also for playing, I guess, to be evolving right now. And from what I can see, Mickey has joined us now. Hi Mickey, would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
I would love to, Max. Thank you. I'm Mickey Maher. I'm SVP of Platform Partnerships at Dapper Labs. I've been here at Dapper about 3.5 years, and I came over to Dapper from a long history in the gaming and consumer application space because I saw CryptoKitties and what the team at Dapper Labs was doing, and it looked to me like this was a future platform of where creative entrepreneurs and creative gaming experiences would exist into the future. And 3.5 years later or so, I think that is fully materializing today. So so it's good to see that happening, and good to be here.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, as part of the Dapper Labs team, as part of the CryptoKitties team, or part of the overarching company, I think it's really exciting for you guys to see, being one of the like inventors of the NFT standard back in the days, and now seeing everything growing together, evolving into the Flow blockchain in itself, and now seeing other projects, of course, taking your example and incorporating NFTs into their projects. So that's really exciting, I think. So I guess there are a few, to continue the conversation. I think the question is, if we look at blockchain and if we look at gaming as like two separate entities, what are the problems that gaming on blockchain can solve with regular gaming in general? What are your opinions on that? Who of you would like to start? Anyone? I can
give a swing at that, and then pass it around. I think one of the things that sort of blockchain and gaming solves is you obviously have the ownership part of it, of digital assets, and the fact that many people don't have the sort of control of those assets in sort of current traditional games, and often try to go offline or sort of in the black market to help to sell and trade those. And there's a need to do that, but I think that there's a step further than that, of just having an item in game that sort of this provides. The provenance and the having digital rights and ownership of digital rights creates so many other opportunities for creativity within an ecosystem. And one of the things I've heard said, and I believe it's sort of like the discovery of the new world, when you come into that new world, and the ability to have ownership within that world, whether it's land, whether it's items, whether it's to be able to build something that you own and have be able to create the right amount of scarcity. You're then able to have others, users, empower users to really engage in that environment in a different way that adds a dimension to gaming that is just currently not there.
Interesting, yeah. Any thoughts on that, Mickey?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. I think a few things I would add to that. I would say it's interesting, the behavior. When you enable true ownership of a good in these spaces, it seems like the implications of that are obvious. But then what happens is that true ownership then goes into the direct permissionless peer-to-peer trading aspect of things. And when we think about what peer-to-peer trading is, we think about, hey, like this is a way for me to get something in the game and then resell it and then basically earn off of my participation in the game. That is true. But what ends up happening is this marketplace or the peer-to-peer, the spot where you're doing the peer-to-peer trading becomes this huge community and social layer that's added into your game. So beyond just the ability to trade and the ability to make money off of items that you're earning or buying in the game, you're also enabling a social type of experience or an engagement mechanic that doesn't exist necessarily in traditional gaming. And then things kind of spawn off of that peer-to-peer marketplace, whether it's Discord servers or side chats or side channels where these folks have met through the peer-to-peer marketplace and now are collaborating and discussing outside of the game. So I think the trading aspect is a really interesting social mechanic that hadn't been tapped into much previously outside of blockchain gaming. But to expand on the earning aspect of it as well, play to earn games, I think, are in their infancy, and I think there's going to be a tremendous innovation in that space over the coming months or years. But at its core, these types of games are allowing users who are passionate about games, who spend a lot of time on games, to actually monetize or make money off of their time spent in those games. So, 10 years ago, there wasn't a way for someone that played video games to make money. Then esports came around, and then the select few who are the best at the games, who are able to join teams or leagues, started to be able to make money. And then the YouTubers came in, PewDiePie and those folks, and they're making money off of playing games in front of an audience, right? Directly. Now, this is just the next generation of that, where anyone can come in and monetize their time within a game. So this is just enabling users to open up another avenue where they can earn where they're spending most of their time.
Yeah, so sorry, I had a quick audio issue. So there's a lot to unfold here, and I think I agree to both of you. There's a lot of like a social aspect involved with like the whole crypto infused or NFT infused games that are currently popping up, and of course there's also a lot to say about the earn system. I think where it really like comes down to at the moment and potentially in the future as well is basically what you said last, Mickey, that the time spent in game or like rewards you get in game now actually have like a certain value attached to it. So for example, think about if you're like playing a like MMO, for example, and you get an achievement and you're actually one of the first person on the whole planet to actually receive that achievement, and this is like a unique achievement, for example, then games could basically use those achievements to reward them with like a unique NFT, for example. These are like very like super interesting concepts, which I think everyone is kind of like trying to explore now. And this, of course, brings us then back again to the whole NFT market and the trading that is happening between the players. And I guess I think this is actually something that Yu Yang actually also mentioned earlier, that the trading between the players and the like potential to earn basically through the games. This is like something that is like a natural effect of enabling those kind of like games and those kind of like markets through the gameplay. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the whole play to earn aspect or play to earn aspect, because I know for a fact that at least we from Reset Games, we have some different opinions, let's say, on play to earn than most of our other projects in the crypto space. And I think a good starting point to take a look into this kind of like aspect is by asking ourselves how those NFT, like games that actually utilizing NFTs, how those have been like changing the conversation and dynamic of the gaming industry, and how has this pretty much affected the NFT market in itself and the whole of the NFT crypto industry. I guess to make it fair, I think I can say some my comments on that. You guys can comment, and it's not always like me responding, ending this sentence. So basically, in our case, we first of all, we do not see play to earn as like a genre. We see play to earn as basically, or the usage of NFTs inside a game as like a game mechanic. So for us, there's like no difference between like a traditional game that's going to release on like console or any other platforms, and no difference to like a game that's utilizing NFTs basically. For us, it's just like a part of a game mechanic. It's part of a sub genre maybe. And in our case, we are trying to find like a perfect mix between traditional gaming experience, highly engaging gameplay, but then rewarding users with their playtime basically, or through achieving great success in the game. Like for example, in the competitive scene, we do not see play to earn as like a core concept, but much more like a mechanic in itself as part of our overarching games. And this is of course different to what other companies or developers might think, but this is like our general sense. I guess who of you would like to do their own take on the NFT situation?
Yeah, look, Max, your opinion doesn't surprise me whatsoever, because you're a traditional game person, and you're approaching the space as, hey, I want to make a great game and a fun game that users love to play and users love to spend their time in, and then I'll incorporate some of these play to earn mechanics or aspects into that game, just as an added value. From my standpoint, as a traditional game guy, I think that's the right approach if you want true engagement and true sustainability. But look, I don't think we've scratched even close to scratch the surface of what can be done in this space, and I try not to talk too deeply about game design and creative here, because I'm out of my league or out of my depth in that. But like, we haven't even seen the Farmville of the NFT space yet. And if you think about something like a farming game or those types of games, the number of applications of play to earn, NFT, and the combination of both, just in something as simple as Farmville, it's just the amount you could do in that type of game with blockchain aspects is so extensive that who knows where it would even go. But we're not even seeing that yet. And that's just taking a concept that exists, applying these blockchain principles, play to earn principles to it, making it better than it was before with those principles. That's an existing idea. I don't even know what the new ideas are going to be in this space that are built off of those existing ideas. But they're going to be creative, and they're going to be interesting, and they're going to change the world of gaming, at least.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both of you in that, I think we are early days, and really understanding where it'll go will continue to evolve. And it's a little bit like, mobile. There was the concept of the game still has to be enjoyable. The game still has to be engaging, is going to be at the core and is going to be there. I mean, if you don't have a engaging mechanics, that that's just it won't work. However, what I do think is going to innovate and revolutionize rather than evolutionize the process is NFTs, and how that plays within there, and how people will use it, and empowering a community. It's a very different business model and dynamic than what traditional games use currently. And that's going to have different impact of what the users are going to be able to do. And we're constantly looking to prod that to see, okay, well, how can we enable it? How can we empower the users to do more so that they're enabled to do more? I mean, one of the things that will probably, I've heard will change in the vernacular of how we think about it, rather than, usage rate, we might think about games in terms of GDP because of how much that brings to the whole ecosystem, and just really trying to understand that better. Again, as we look at some of the, traditional games, console games versus mobile, core gameplay was there, but the mechanics of what they did were different, and how they engaged people were different. The free to play came that made things different. And I think there's so much more that we're excited about and looking to partner with our users to really do in Blockly games as we think and move forward in sort of the sports arena.
Yeah, that's some pretty interesting point of view from both of you. Again, I'm not saying that like our point of view is different to yours. I think we all agree that NFTs are going to change the way we think about games and the way how users are interacting with games and stuff. I think from a developer point of view, working on games in the NFT space or incorporating NFTs into the games, it's always yeah, you always have to make sure that you're not falling into like a almost like pyramid scheme like a system, which we might see from like other projects on potentially other blockchains in this space at the moment. But since you both especially are, I mean, we all hyped about NFTs in this space, but you two especially are super hyped about NFTs in this space, and you're trying to look into how also the play-to-earn way, I guess, can influence and can be used in the future. And I think, Mickey, you already gave some great examples of how those mechanics could be like implemented into games to almost on like a, yeah, as you said, on like a level of like a GDP kind of like level. So I guess there's like lots of stuff we have yet to be experimented with and yet have to be revealed, basically. But so a quick question I have is, do you think that it will, like this whole play to earn system will actually change the way we play and experience games? Because I believe it already does, kind of. Like CryptoKitties, for example, taking the Dapper Labs route again, is basically was like a simplistic game concept which had like lots of depth, but from like a pure gameplay point of view, it like wasn't of course like comparable to like a AAA game, of course, but it did have enough incentives and enough engagement and like enough playability in this case, where the users were experimenting with NFTs, where the users were basically looking into how NFTs were working. That actually was like a great success, not only back then but also today. So I guess the real question is, are we going to see more games and more experiences that are going to experiment with NFTs? And is this kind of like experimentation going to change the way we play games ourselves?
Yes.
Yeah.
You touched on CryptoKitties, and
Yeah.
I haven't. So the most interesting thing about blockchain games is something that we haven't even touched on yet, and it's the aspect of composability as allowed by smart contracts, as the openness, basically the open source nature of smart contracts allows for developers to build on top permissionlessly, right? So the way I see users experiencing blockchain games in the future, and I think the way our organization sees it because Flow is built specifically to be able to incorporate this and supercharge this feature. But if you're playing a game on the blockchain that leverages smart contracts, call it CryptoKitties, there's a very simple gaming mechanic, right? So you're a user, you love your kitty, you own your kitty, and you're using CryptoKitties to breed your kitty. So that's the game. But what blockchain allows and what smart contracts allow is you, if you're technical enough or if you're creative enough, to go out and leverage CryptoKitties or any game on the blockchain as a building block. And you can say, hey, I love this breeding stuff on CryptoKitties, but I'd actually like to do something else with my cat. Well, guess what? You can then build something else on top of that core game or those assets to basically create that experience that you love to use your cat in. And then you're able to bring other users into that experience and monetize that. So in short, this allows for any game to easily and seamlessly and permissionlessly become a platform. And we saw that happen really quickly with CryptoKitties. There was something called the Kittyverse, and the Kittyverse had something like 40 or 50 developers building projects on top of the CryptoKitties smart contract. So you had like a dating app for kitties, a social app for kitties. You had something called kitty hats where you could accessorize your cats. You had kitty races where you could race your cat. They wrote their own algorithm, which revalued the attributes of the kitties and revalued them from breeding into speed. But that happened at a very low scale of 10, 20,000 users of CryptoKitties. If you take that concept and you start applying that to games with millions of users, the creativity of the community or users playing that game, unlocking that is far greater than having all the creativity and all the development power in a centralized organization and having that centralized organization go through their red tape, their creative process, and limiting it to the number of employees they have. If you're allowing the creativity of your most passionate gamers, millions of them, to build things on top of your core experience, the creative concepts and the cool experiences that come out of that is endless.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that one of the things that we've been thinking about is that I think when this is all said and done and we get to a place of maturity, gaming actually may be an insufficient term. And because it focuses people into sort of thinking about a specific type of behavior that happens, within the current gaming environment. And although I think gaming is definitely going to be that entryway, I think there's so many things that ecosystems that start to grow around the game that may not be thought of as direct gaming. And so, as an example, within our Block League golf game, you can come in and will be able to participate as an owner of or eventually when we launch, as an owner of a pro shop. And you may not actually take a swing of the golf club pretty much at all, but you will be participating in the environment in which you are helping to grow the complete ecosystem. So are you a gamer because you are sort of creating, opportunities for others to improve their golfer and sell and trade clubs and different things like that? I mean, in the traditional sense, maybe not, because you haven't really done anything from a fast twitch cycle, but you are participating in that game environment. And this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what the ecosystem can be. And so that's why I kind of think we are probably underselling what the opportunity will be in the long run, but we're certainly taking the path of what we know in order to get there.
Is this what you would define as the metaverse, Yang?
Exactly. I haven't quite yet been said to go there yet, but yes, I think we're thinking about our games, the golf game and others that we're talking to, as sort of a sports metaverse. We want people to come in and be able to play in a metaverse of sports and engage in that metaverse of sports in different ways.
Yeah, I guess it all boils down to also not only tapping into like lots of new opportunities like in general for like developers, but also for players themselves. When we look at like the past 20 years, we saw, for example, Minecraft popping up, Roblox popping up. They all became their own like major actual ecosystems in itself on the App Store, for example, or on console, or on all the systems basically in the world. So, and I think this in particular makes blockchain gaming or NFTs inside blockchain games pretty interesting incentive, but also engagement tool. So when you all of a sudden have the players or the users creating content for your game, for example, the CryptoKitties case on the Blocklet games course, where basically players are creating the content and then are basically growing this whole like ecosystem and space by themselves. This of course has like lots and lots of very positive outcomes for everyone, not only the developers but also for the players directly, especially if they can monetize their NFTs at the same time themselves, so they feel rewarded in between. I guess in the case of since you spoke of the metaverse already, so I guess for the idea of the metaverse, and there was like a long blog post I think 2 weeks ago from on Twitter, basically, where someone was having the stance if there's like one multiverse or if there are multiple multiverses inside the gaming space in itself, which I found really interesting. And I guess if you are making a game or if you're making like an experience on blockchain and especially on Flow, then you automatically entered into this kind of like Flowverse, I guess, which is of course the name of the Discord channel here. But you are also being introduced to lots and lots of new projects, and this is providing opportunity for new developers. So if we take the example of CryptoKitties, your Blocklet games application, the Chainmonsters game, all three of those experiences exist on blockchain and can be connected by a third party, by anyone on the web, pretty much to connect those experiences together, building on top of CryptoKitties into the Cryptoverse, for example, or building on Flow blockchain basically, and tapping into the not only the experiences already there, but also on the success of those experiences. Because if you are like a new developer and is coming from an indie developer background, myself, we know how hard it is to basically get started in this space. You kind of can tap into potential. And I think this is one of the most powerful tools that is currently being enabled through this kind of like metaverse structure, powered through blockchain itself. Any more comments on that so far? If not, then we can continue with our like general schedule basically, because if we look at the NFTs itself, we can see that NFTs are going to become pretty significant, and some people could pretty much ask if NFTs could be put into like the same kind of like level as, for example, the switch from old school 2D graphics to 3D, from handheld devices to consoles, from local gaming to online gaming, basically. And the question really is, are NFTs going to be on a similar level and scope as those previous achievements? Pretty much. What is your opinion on that? Maybe Yang?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I actually think, again, maybe as you can see, I'm pretty bullish on NFTs and NFT games, and certainly bullish on what we're doing on Blocklets and Flow. And so we're happy to be in an ecosystem that's really building towards that. I look at it again when I study the history of sort of innovation and where things go. One of the stories that had come out is like Uber, and really trying to understand like what market is Uber playing in, and people would say, oh, they're playing in the cab, business, and can they be as big as the cab driving business? Whereas the lens of where that really was is that they were in the transporting people business, and that is a lot larger, or transporting things, because now they're even moved into the markets of Uber Eats and others. And so really understanding that where this goes and it being on the same level of those things that you mentioned in the past, I think the bounds are probably even further than that, because it unlocks certainly, as we the software continues to eat the world and continues to, be more and more pervasive, the ability to have NFT ownership, understanding the mechanics, that engagement that games bring to ecosystem and economic and digital design are going to be very important for how we do things. And one of the examples that I use internally here as we think about, okay, well, what are we building, is that an umbrella for me in real life immediately has meaning, because I know as rain comes down, I know I have a great understanding of the need to use it. In a digital environment in which I'm engaging with others, the design has to be done in a way that helps me to understand the need for some of these goods and some of these digital items. So as others begin to build their environments and have needs within those environments, these NFT items will become even more important in that. And that's why we really like sports, being a sports, within the sports space, the sports company, the competition, the engagement that's created there creates needs that will start to build around that we feel that our community is going to be filling in and have the ability to have ownership to drive that value within that ecosystem. So we think it's going to be even larger than that once these things start to hit its stride.
I love the Uber example because it is a perfect example. And I'll even go a little bit further, but more applicable to this space, right? So when we talk about the TAM here, or what is the market for NFT games, typically the thought goes, hey, this is how much of the gaming market can this capture, right? I think when mobile was in its infancy and mobile games started to become successful, I think the same thought process happened there, right? Like, how many of our traditional gamers can we bring over to mobile gaming? But then you see something like Candy Crush come out. And if you know anything about Candy Crush, I mean, one of, if not the most successful mobile game of all time, the majority of, if we think about who a gamer is, we think it's, a male 18 to 35 sitting on their couch playing Xbox. So when you brought mobile into the world, you thought, how many of those 18 to 35-year-old males can I bring onto mobile? What something like Candy Crush did was brought in 200+ million females, mostly of older age, into gaming. So the right type of game, the right type of experience engaged a whole new audience and brought hundreds of millions of new gamers into the world. And that's really why mobile exploded. And it's really why mobile is the business it is today. It expanded the gaming market so significantly that we don't even think of that market as the same. So will NFTs, play to earn games, blockchain games do the same thing? I think it'll bring in a new audience, and I think it'll increase the LTV of that audience. So I think the potential here to expand the gaming market, both from a user perspective and a revenue perspective, I think it's pretty likely.
I think it's pretty nice that you are basically saying that NFT and potentially play to earn are basically going to be a part of gaming, and they're not going to replace gaming as some people do. Because I think it's basically it's of course something that has been starting to be established even back in 2017. We're now seeing more and more experiences, and now the actual real games and even potentially AAA games entering the whole market soon. So I have to agree basically with both of you again. It's basically, I think it's going to be a new type of game, a subcategory basically, or like a genre pretty much, but it's not going to be like I don't think, but maybe your opinion might differ. It's not going to be like, hey, we basically shouldn't ask the question, can NFT gaming grow bigger than gaming? Because I think they're both pretty much connected to each other on so many different levels, and on especially various opportunities we haven't even tapped into yet. And I think everyone who's been working in the blockchain NFT space so far is doing a great job trying to expand the universe, expanding the opportunities, possibilities here. And I think we're all taking a big part in potentially bringing a new kind of a new market in, new people, new concepts, and pretty much expanding the existing space. On that note, I guess. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So I was just going to say,
please
just to double on what you're saying there, and Mickey brought an example that was more recent and more relevant. I'm going to go further back to something that's older, in that I think these two spaces can coexist, in that when TV came out, people were like, oh, it's going to kill film, and obviously, as we know today, TV didn't kill film. It was just different needs and uses that it was satisfying. And so there's going to be a different need and use case that NFT games are going to bring versus console games or other games that are out there. And you'll have people that will play both. You'll have people that will just decide to do one. But there's going to be a different value proposition that's brought in by NFTs, and I think it will expand the market as well.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for the comment on that. The shift from TV to games has not been exclusive. They've been able to coexist, of course, as we can see. Even though back in the days people didn't realize that, of course, they didn't want to realize that, of course. And those who were working first on those projects, on those early games and those new ways of entertainment, they were pretty much the I guess the winners at the end. So it's great to see everyone here being part of this journey that early. On another note, I think, because we currently have about 3 minutes left, how long do you think it will take until we see like a AAA level game from any of the major one of the largest studios pretty much entering the market? And do you think it will come from a existing partner, or if it will come from someone new, basically?
So do you mean a AAA game or AAA studio incorporating NFTs into a game, or building a completely native blockchain play to earn game? Because if it's
I guess the question, yeah.
If it's the former, within a year. If it's the latter, a couple of years out.
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting because I'm part of Warner Media. We have big game studios there. I'm obviously Turner Sports and Bleacher, and so we're attached to large properties, and so we're really pushing forward in this direction. I think it's completely different business models, completely different ways of engaging with audiences. It is, so again, just as analogies, I look at YouTube when that was first rolling out and how larger studios engage with that. And initially they were like, hey, can we bring our current content and see if we can put it onto YouTube? And so I think, yeah, you'll have studios begin to dabble in that, like you said, relatively quickly and relatively soon, and not saying anything in terms of what we're doing internally around that. But really building something natively. There's a lot of work to be done there. There's a lot of things that have to be considered there. There's even the economic design, the regulatory concerns that come along with that. So there's probably a roadmap, or at least time still before that actually comes to fruition. Knowing that, although we are building our Blocklet games and looking to develop that outright, but some of the traditional AAA studios, my guess will still be a little while, just because there's some challenges there as well.
And it's not unique to this space at all. Did we? No. I think Max left us. But it's not unique to this space at all. AAA game studios are notoriously late to new platforms. They were really late to mobile. Facebook, they were very late to, even though Facebook gaming died eventually. But AAA studios, large game companies being late to a platform is not not only just happens in this space, the NFT space. It notoriously happens across history. So
exactly. So it looks like Max left, but it looks like we're also up on time. So I guess really appreciate it. Mickey, I know we work closely together on a number of different things and looking forward to what's coming next, both from our Blocklet games and what we're doing wide in terms of Turner Sports and Bleacher Report around that, but also interested to see the Flowverse ecosystem continue to grow. It's just been a lot of fun these last few days.
Well, we appreciate you, Yang, and it was a pleasure doing this panel, and thank you for participating. So,
no, absolutely.
Yep, we'll let the next one start. So we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. All right. Take care.